Hey everyone, welcome back to the Armchair Fantasy Football Podcast, the working class podcast. We are the two and only blue collar ballers, John and DJ. Check us out on our Facebook page at Armchair Fantasy Football, on Twitter at Armchair FF Pod. I'm on Twitter at Armchair Kingpin. John is on Twitter at John2977. You can email us at armchairfb@gmail.com. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Podbean. You can also find our videos on YouTube. Just search Armchair Fantasy Football Podcast and you will find us. You got anything before we get to the news, John?
No.
I want to dive right in.
Let's get right into it.
We have concluded. We have almost concluded. We have one more game tonight. The first quarter of the season. The first quarter is coming to a close, if you guys can believe that.
Flew by quick.
Yeah, and week 4 was pretty interesting. A lot of upside down world stuff from a quarterback standpoint. A lot of top name quarterbacks not playing so well, and a lot of quarterbacks that you don't expect to play all that well played well, and Kirk Cousins still sucked. But other than that, it was a little weird from a quarterback landscape. But let's jump right into the news.
Okay, Jarvis Landry, after his great game yesterday, suffered a concussion in week 4, and he is questionable for this week. And it looks like he'll have to pass the concussion protocol this week.
Good to see Jarvis Landry alive and well, kind of, until he wasn't. But unfortunate situation. Hopefully he can get it together for next week. If not, then he needs to heal up and get that concussion issue straightened out. Those are obviously a bad deal.
AJ Green is expected to miss at least 2 more weeks before his return. They're looking at a 2-week timeline at least.
AJ Green is like, you get really excited for like the Secret Santa, and then your Secret Santa just gives you a really crummy gift. The packaging is really shiny and looks really good. It's like gold leaf packaging, and then you open it up and you're like, oh, because AJ Green just doesn't deliver to fantasy.
He's what, 31 now?
Yeah, he's in his 30s. He's always had injury issues. The stud prototype, if there ever was one. But, I guess buy low on him, maybe.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I think there's a good time to buy him.
This is a good time to go after him. But, go after him with the knowledge that he might disappoint you if you get a hold of him, too. He's just never, ever healthy. Much like we were talking about Tyron Smith. Left tackle for the Cowboys, never healthy. Gets paid a ton of money, never healthy. So we'll see. We'll see if AJ's good to go when he finally does come back.
Dr. Jones will get some boost to his receiving corps this week as Golden Tate is back from suspension.
Yeah, that's gonna be great. Hold on to your potatoes, Dr. Jones.
Hold on to your potatoes, Dr. Jones.
It's a good addition for Jones, who didn't look this week like he did week 1. We'll discuss that. But just another option and a talented veteran presence in the form of Golden Tate that can only help that offense, especially given the absence of Saquon Barkley. Yes, I know Wayne Gallman went off, but I don't think we can expect that every week.
They won't be playing the Redskins every week.
And from a fantasy standpoint, I would definitely... if Golden Tate's somehow on your waiver wire, that he should be probably your top priority this week, I would say.
He's a number 2 receiver.
Yeah. Is he? Or is he a number 1 receiver on that team? Or
he's number 1 receiver on the team, but I'm saying he's number 2 as it relates to
hearts.
In our hearts.
I think it's a poor man's version of Evans and Godwin, to be honest with you, over there. I think he's definitely...
Between him and Shepard, I think. Yeah. But Shepard might have the upper hand where he's been playing
we'll see
this
about
week
that.
and last week with Jones.
We'll see about that.
So, Devontae Adams not practicing. Remember, it's still early in the week. He does have turf toe. As of right now, they say don't count on him suiting up, but he is considered day-to-day. So don't lose your mind yet.
That's me banging my head up against the microphone.
Still lots of practice left this week, so a lot can change, but that's the initial news as of right now.
There is, John, but and I know that turf toe
lingers. It lingers. If they're safe, they send him out this week, and he should be good to go after
I think they have a bye following that.
Yeah, so he would get this week and next week, I believe.
So as an owner, and I just traded Stephon Diggs because he's a lowlife, and I will forever never go back on the fact that I think that was a great trade on my part. But yeah, anyway, so I'm a little thinner at receiver than I would like to be, and I have Davante Adams, so I need you out there, bro, but not at the expense of the rest of the season. So I'd rather you heal up.
Another person out for the Green Bay Packers is Jamal Williams, not practicing, but he is out of the hospital, just taking it slow. My guess is initially, definitely this week, could be back the week after. Nothing other than they're calling it a head injury right now. Not even calling it concussion.
I mean, he got rocked.
But that was a cheap shot.
That was a cheap shot. I mean, they got to do something about that. We saw another cheap shot on Josh Allen yesterday.
Yep, Vontez Burfict had a cheap shot, but his came with a suspension. He's done for the year.
You know what? And they all should be done for the year if they're doing that, man. Like they know. I don't remember who got Allen, but. These guys should be put out for the season if they're going to try to take a man's career. That's unacceptable.
So, I would probably boost Aaron Jones' value this week more. Becomes a primary back.
Yeah, there's kind of an underlying silver lining here, and I'm just looking deep because I like to try to look 2-3 steps ahead, and maybe there's nothing there, maybe there is. But who's third on the depth chart there? Because Aaron Jones, from an efficiency standpoint, doesn't look good. I think you would agree with that. And then if you're an Aaron Jones owner, you also know that touchdowns have saved your last 2 weeks. So I think, in Williams, there was more talk about Williams potentially getting, a 50-50 work split, and we kind of saw that in week 3. I think there's an opportunity here for Jones to lose some shares because he doesn't, from an efficiency standpoint, from a yards per carry standpoint, in the eye test, he doesn't look that great. So that's all I'm saying. I think they've got a rookie in there.
I can't think of who it is, but whoever it was, they did not.
Yeah, I'll look it up, but
play him.
I don't know if you agree with that or not, John.
He doesn't look comfortable, but I know last year he got better as the season went on. He was kind of a late bloomer. I don't know. I think Green Bay this week went back to their old form, hucking the ball quite a bit, and it looked like it paid off.
Well, I mean, Rodgers it didn't in the win-loss category.
No, they did lose, but now they're 3-1.
Yeah.
But
Dexter Williams.
I thought that's who it was, but I didn't want to say it on the fact.
So keep an eye on Dexter Williams. Just a hunch on my part. It's just an intuition. But Aaron Jones could look a lot better than he does right now.
Yes, he did play Philly though. They are good against the run.
But the week before, his yards per carry weren't great either. Well. So
T.J. Hawkinson got hurt yesterday, but he has avoided the injury reserve. So shoulder injury as of right now. No timeline given on how long he will be out. But what'd you call him? I call him Hawkalugi, I think.
Hawkinson.
Yeah, he had a touchdown.
It depends on the week.
Yeah. So he's so hard to project when he's going to score.
But just this past week, John. I know you got more news, and I know we're starting with Green Bay, Philly, but just to touch on this past week, Aaron Jones 1.6 yards per carry.
What?
Yeah, not good.
Nope. Here's good news for me. Saquon Barkley is considered week to week, and he has already shed his walking boot. But I'd still temper your expectations.
No, that's great. And since you got Wayne Gallman as a handcuff, that's wait.
Oh yeah.
Wait a minute. You didn't. Oh, that's kind of embarrassing. And this is, I'm a little upset that you don't take my advice, John, on number 1, handcuffing your studs, and number 2, I told you to go get him, and you didn't. Did you even go after him on the waiver wire?
Someone bid, I didn't want to say it was $92 on him.
I don't know if it was that much.
It was high.
And that should have been you, because that could save or make or break your season, but we'll see.
Well, I was hoping it was going to pay off this week, but it has to.
Well, you put Rex Burkhead in your starting lineup.
He's averaged 10 fantasy points
until he doesn't, because he's a New England running back. So. Which, by the way, didn't you say you've never started a New England running back?
I had to this
week.
Is
that history in the making right there?
I had Breida and Mostert on bye.
Did you make history?
What? I think that was the first time I've ever started one, and I paid for it. But the rest of my lineup went off, so that was good.
It looks like you're going to pull it off. But
I hope so.
It's going to be a little close. Who is it you're going up against tonight? Is it Mixon?
Connor.
James Conner. We also have him going in our tag team.
Yeah, so he needs to score 19 or less, and I'll be good. So if he scores 18.5,
you'll be a happy camper.
I'll be a happy camper. Sam Darnold has been cleared for non-contact drills this week, but in order to play, he needs to be cleared this week. So he's still... Go ahead.
Sorry. Against Philly, 1.6 yards per carry. Against Denver, 1.9.
So he's not even average
for Aaron Jones.
Wow.
So I'm just saying it might be right for the picking there. Both weeks, touchdowns saved his weeks. Just saying.
And receptions.
We're gonna be
too, right?
we're gonna be talking about those guys soon.
Good old Mitch Trubisky has a dislocated left shoulder and a slight labrum tear. Doubtful for Week 5, which if he does not play, Chase Daniel will be the starting quarterback this week.
Which
he didn't look bad.
Well, I mean, why wouldn't he be the starting quarterback this week anyway? He looked better than Trubisky. Plain and simple. I mean, I watched that game, or a good portion of it, and he looked better. Mitch Trubisky's not good. He's #not good at football.
Well, speaking of quarterback controversy, Gruden declines to name a starting quarterback for the Redskins for Week 5. Both of them
are trash.
So
just put Colt McCoy in there and call it.
That's what they're thinking. They're thinking that Colt McCoy has a chance to start.
To be honest, I think Keenum's probably their best option, and I think the worst thing that could happen for McLovin owners. By the way, there's another podcast that's trying to steal our McLovin nickname.
Actually, he's got other nicknames right now. He's got McLovin.
He does, but there's another podcast that just started saying McLovin this past week. So
F1.
Imitation is the greatest form of flattery. I'll just go out and say that.
F1 is another nickname.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Scary Terry, but that's Terry Rozier.
Yeah.
So they already said that one's out. So I've been hearing.
So anyway, Keenum has chemistry with McLovin. Haskins played with McLovin in college. Colt McCoy could be the McLovin kryptonite. So, as an owner of that guy...
Oh, great. Awesome.
Let's hope it's not Colt McCoy.
Or he could love him and throw twice as much.
Maybe.
Okay, we'll see. Christian Kirk suffered an ankle injury in Week 4. So, don't know the extent of the injury yet or if he's going to play. So, keep an eye on that.
Christian Kirk... Well, I mean, everybody's getting a lot of targets on that team because they're throwing an awful lot. But Christian Kirk's getting targeted a lot. He's looked good this season. He's a guy that I've looked at and said, man, I'd like to have him on my squad just for depth. I mean, not as a weekly starter, but...
Every time I see his last name, this is old school reference here, I always think of Star Trek. David Kirk.
Oh, yeah.
Get out there.
Captain Kirk.
Josh
Captain
Allen.
James T. Kirk. But just real quick on Christian Kirk... he might be a buy low guy right now, especially
his targets are there. That offense still continues to run at a fast pace.
He's targeted 12, 8, 12, and yesterday 5 times.
And that's before he got hurt, too.
Exactly. Yeah. So the targets are there. The production isn't always 12 for 59. The week before isn't really what you want to see, but
17 points.
It is, but when you catch 12 balls, it's 10 for 59. When you catch 10 balls, you're probably expecting more than 5.9
No,
yards
he's a wide receiver.
Per reception.
I think some people draft him as a wide receiver.
So anyway, I'm just saying he's a good depth add, and maybe this is a good opportunity to buy low.
Josh Allen remains in the concussion protocol. They have a match in Week 5 against the Titans this week, or week after tonight.
Yeah.
And they have a bye week in Week 6, so they may sit him this week for the extra rest.
Yeah, this was, obviously don't like seeing guys targeting guys' heads. I don't know what the suspension situation is going to be coming out of that, but a cheap shot on Allen, and probably, I mean, I don't know if you'd agree with this or not, John, but probably won New England the game taking Allen out of the game. So sad to see situations like that. Hopefully there's a penalty to be had there, but I've got Josh Allen.
I can tell you the way the precedent's been so far with the late hits on quarterbacks and all the other hits so far. There's been fines. He'll definitely be fined. Could face a suspension though from the league. It's usually the week after they go over all the reviews of the tapes and that.
Yeah, that's not how you want to win games. Is via cheap shots like that and intentionally trying to take a guy out of the game. But it worked. As far as Allen goes, Tennessee's probably a tough matchup, so I don't know if you're starting him anyway, so it might be a good idea for him to just... I'm streaming him. I have him and Daniel Jones, so I'm just streaming those two guys. But it sounds like I got a tough matchup either way this week, so I'll probably roll with Jones.
Rashad Penny is expected to suit up this Thursday night's game, but he was also expected to suit up Sunday, so just keep an eye on this, but he's set up the last 2 games. Just something to monitor for this Thursday, probably... By Wednesday, we should have more clarification on this.
Keep a very close eye on this. Keep a very close eye on his usage. Chris Carson has not looked good this season. Had a better game this week, but that is another running back job that's right for the pick.
I would sit Penny this week based on the fact that you don't know if he's going to be limited.
Oh, I'm not starting him.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying.
I'm saying monitor his usage in the game because his value could
go up. Yeah. One last bit of news though. Adam Thielen mentioned in a news conference that they need to throw the ball more in order to win. This is your receiver stating this. And I know there's other people on the team, but he stated they need to throw the ball more to win. So
yeah, and you would think Diggs would be saying this, but Diggs is, he's just happy to be there. I don't think he genuinely cares about wins or losses. Thielen is definitely more vocal, and I completely agree with him. But with that being said, this might stoke a flame for this week against the Giants D. I think they have on the slate, John. But long term, I just you can only start one of these two receivers and expect to have a big game out of him. We saw it again this week. Diggs had a good game, but a lot of it was garbage time, so he wasn't really part of the game plan. He got most of his points in the fourth quarter when they just really had very little chance to win. So his points weren't based on the game plan. And then of course Thielen disappeared this week as well. Usually it's Diggs that disappears. So the concern is, can Cousins support both of these guys every week? I don't think he can anymore, and I think this guy's regressing. And I don't know, dude. I don't like anybody. I'm not starting anybody on that team with confidence on a weekly basis outside of Dalvin Cook. And Cook didn't look that great this week either from an efficiency standpoint. The team just looked bad. And they're one-dimensional. What did we say last week?
They run.
Chicago's going to come in there. They're going to punch Dalvin Cook in the mouth as much as possible because they know they can't pass the ball. And look what happened. They got exposed. Yep. I don't know. I think I hate Minnesota more than all but one team. Minnesota is like so high up my hate list right now. It's not even funny because there's so much talent on that team and they just don't even use it. Keep in mind there is a camera on you.
I know.
Let's be like you're making funny faces down there. Okay. Is that it for the news?
That's it for news.
All right, we'll jump into Philly and Green Bay. A career day, John. At the top of the headlines is a career day for Davante Adams. But, as we mentioned, he got hurt. But 10 catches for 180 yards. Still, 4 weeks in, John.
No TDs.
No TD for Davante Adams. Are you concerned about that? Is he just not part of the red zone game plan?
No, I think teams are... They have to respect him more. In the years past, I don't think he got the respect. I think after last year...
This is a guy that gets 12 touchdowns almost every year.
I think he's off to a slow start. I think, the first couple games was LaFleur saying, we need to run the ball. I think this past week they noticed that running the ball is not always going to work, that they need to let Aaron Rodgers do his thing, and he did do his thing this week. But also remember, in this game, a few, like the face mask, he might have broke that off if he didn't get face masked. He might have had a touchdown. I mean, I watched this game. Adams looked really good. Rodgers looked really good. I just think, give it time.
Rodgers looked like the old Rodgers. 422 yards. He got it done on the ground. 5 carries for 46 yards.
They did exactly what they said they were going to do. They said the first drive,
2 touchdowns.
He was going to target Adams.
Normally I say the whole stat line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I'm trying to finish the Adams thing that you're worried about him.
Yes.
Rodgers
I'm not worried. I'm asking if you should be.
No. Rodgers stated that he would throw to Davante on the first drive often, and he did. He made a statement. He kept throwing it to him, and that lob pass for 50 yards? Or 58, I think it was. He made a statement, come stop me. And then after that, he spread the love.
But the question is, I think the bigger question is, can we plan on that every week? I think we can plan on usage every week, and I think week 3 specifically was an outlier. My bigger concern is 0 touchdowns, and I will say this: at the end of that game, I think that had he not got hurt, he probably would have cut a touchdown on one of the last 2 drives that they had, but he wasn't in the game because they were targeting guys that they targeted old man Jimmy Graham, who just couldn't get it done in the red zone, so he's the guy that probably would have fit perfectly in that scenario, and I think he would have made some touchdown hay on one of those 2 drives, but definitely a concern. I mean, there are some guys, and we'll talk about Leonard Fournette later, that are big-time players, huge parts of the offensive scheme on their team, and have 0 touchdowns for the year. So, a little weird, but yeah, I think that should turn around, but we'll see if he's even out there this week. But yeah, Rodgers had a great day, back to his old form. Aaron Jones did not. 13 carries to 21 yards. As we mentioned, 1.6 yards per carry, touchdown saved his day. And he is getting usage in the passing game, specifically this week, 6 catches for 37 yards on 7 targets. So Jones is getting the usage. I just think there's a possibility for him to lose a good part of the workload if he continues on the less than 2 yards per carry pace that he's on right now. But Graham, talk about Graham. He did have a good day, 6 for 61 and a touchdown. But probably the best day you're going to have out of him all year. But I don't know how many people actually started him. Allison, 3 for 52 and a touchdown. So Aaron Rodgers was dealing today. What part of that is Philadelphia's secondary? And what part of that is Green Bay's actually clicking? I mean, if you were to say it's one reason or the other, what side would you stand on? The fact that Philly doesn't have a very good D, or the fact that Green Bay is finally getting it together in an offensive standpoint?
I think it was a mix of both. Philly's secondary is trash.
Yeah.
It is trash.
It's not good. And it's banged, they're banged up too. So that's a big part of it. But you know what? Every team's banged up at this point. So moving on to Philly, Jordan Howard, 15. I feel bad for you, dude. So
Jordan Howard has a career night.
John is facing a guy that started Corey Davis and Jordan Howard. I bet if you look across like every single fantasy football team on the planet, how many are starting Jordan Howard and Corey Davis? Got to be really a small sample
2%.
size. And they both went off.
Yep.
Unbelievable. That's what's wrong with fantasy football. But Howard did have a big day, 15 for 87, 5.8 yards per carry. He had 2 touchdowns on the ground. He had 3 catches for 28 yards, a touchdown through the air. Great day for Jordan Howard. Completely went off. Miles Sanders had a good day, 11 for 72 for 6.5 yards per carry. I don't know why. I know Sanders has had some hands issues. I'm not so sure why Jordan Howard got more carries than Sanders, but they both played well. So I think, John, you're probably going to see that every week at more of a split workload. What do you think? Yeah,
Peterson's known for timeshares. But Sanders seems like he's getting more comfortable in this offense. He was even on some returns. He looks a lot better than he did the first couple of games. I think he is getting more comfortable. I think you'll see a split usage here like we did this week.
Yeah, and then Ertz is, Ertz, Mr. Steady Eddie, 7 for 65. But Dallas Goedert got the touchdown.
Yep.
So that that's got to burn some Zach Ertz owners out there. And then Wentz, not great. This is another one of those sneaky stat line games. He only threw for 160 yards, John, but he had 3 touchdowns.
That's what matters.
And that's what matters.
Yeah.
That's and touchdowns are kind of luck driven, not so much in the quarterback position, but if you're lucky enough to get the touchdowns. I mean, what was it, week 2 or 3? I had 2 total touchdowns for my team, and the other guy had like 7. Just that's how the scales tip sometimes. So if you had Carson Wentz, you were happy, but again, how sustainable is that? And anything else? We get any sleeper action? MVS, if Devontae Adams is out, John, I would say
either him or Allison.
3 for 47, and of course Allison had the better day numbers-wise for fantasy numbers, but pretty similar stat line. Allison was 3 for 52, MVS was 3 for 47. Allison just happened to get the touchdown on this one.
I think if Adams is out, you have to start both.
I would agree. Yeah, definitely. I think both ships will rise with the tide, but I mean, neither of them. I don't think you're getting Adams' numbers out of.
No. You'll see decent usage though. Definitely like a wide receiver 2 this week.
So if one of those guys happen to be on the waiver wire, which they probably aren't, but if they happen to be, definitely look at targeting those guys. Anybody on Philly, John, that you're looking at? Alshon Jeffrey also had 3 for 38 and a touchdown. Not a great game for him, but he got the touchdown. A lot of touchdowns in this game.
Maybe I should pick up Jordan Howard.
Are you picking up Dallas Goedert if you're an Ertz owner, if it's a deeper league? I mean, the guy does get usage.
I think he can be a decent bye week fill-in if you're hurting at tight end. I really do.
Yeah, I think you could do worse. Like, I guess my question would be, are you starting him or are you starting Ricky Seals-Jones? You know what I mean? So I'd rather start Goddard. I really would.
I agree with that.
All right, moving on to the Titans and the Falcons. Didn't take long for the Falcons to turn into the defense of last year. They made Marcus Mariota even look good. Mariota threw for 227 yards, but 3 touchdowns really put him over the top. So a great day from him. Derrick Henry, 27 carries, John, for 100 yards.
So he's finally seen the volume he should have last year.
Yeah, and that's what guys like. It's funny, we talked about this last week, and we saw it happen with 2 of the guys that we use as examples, but guys like Sony Michel, guys like Leonard Fournette, guys like Derrick Henry, they need 25 carries. And they'll get you the performance, but you can't give those guys 12 to 15 carries and expect big weeks every week from them. The game script happened to work really well for Derrick Henry this week. He also caught a pass for 8 yards. So from a fantasy standpoint, he could have got you more, obviously. He didn't have a touchdown
but it's
or
good to
anything.
see that usage, though. It could turn into something bigger.
Yeah, that's definitely that you hope for that being indicative of a good baseline for him. But again, with Tennessee, you never know if they're going to be playing from behind, and they weren't this week, so it worked out in Derrick Henry's favor. Corey Davis, John, 5 for 91 and a touchdown. Where'd that come from? Oh, also playing against you.
Yes. Where'd it come from?
Yeah.
I just think the Falcons secondary is banged up. Their injuries.
Uh-oh. It was me this time.
Wow, wasn't even me. Corey Davis looked good, but I'm still not buying this. I'm not yet. I want to see more consistency out of Mariota. Same with A.J. Brown. They both look good. A.J. Brown had 3 receptions for 94 yards and 2 TDs. But the biggest problem here is Mariota. I think he's just not consistent. I can't.
He can't do it every week,
and that's what scares me. I'm not saying they didn't have a good week. They both had great weeks. But look at Humphreys. Last week he had 8 or 9 targets. He had 3 this week.
Yeah.
So as much as like AJ Brown's talent, it's not his talent I'm worried about.
Right.
It's Mariota's. Because watch me pick him up this week. Watch him sink because of Mariota, not because of Brown.
Yeah.
And that's what worries me here.
And Mariota got the ball to 8 different receivers this week. This was you were never starting Mariota, but
no.
If you had to start Davis or you had to start A.J. Brown, which I doubt anybody did that either, then this was the week they popped for you. Probably not going to happen next week, though. Over on the Atlanta side of the ball, John, I think this guy might pop up on tomorrow's episode, Devonta Freeman. What's going on there?
He's
getting the receiving workload, which is great.
I don't know if he's 100% from his injury from last year. He cleared himself good, but I just think that...
Is it the offensive line? I mean, is that part of it?
The line's not great. Ryan's taken some sacks this year, but he's also thrown for 397, so it can't be awful.
And I don't want to mislead the listeners. Devonta Freeman had a good game yesterday.
Yeah, he had 8 receptions.
He caught 8 passes for 72 yards.
Yeah,
but
so
on the ground, he's not looking
on
like
the ground.
same guy.
It's either... I think it's a mix of Turd Cutter's offense,
Yeah.
and it's also a mix of Freeman either missing the holes. I mean, there's a little blame of both, because Turd Cutter running backs don't do well.
Yeah.
So and it's right here. It shows that.
And again, he did well, but he only got 2 points on the ground, basically, for you. And really all of his workload was through the air. And Calvin Ridley wasn't a big part of the game, John, with 3 for 32. So, next week maybe he is, and Freeman doesn't get as many receptions.
And then Austin Hooper.
Yeah.
11 targets, 9 receptions for 130 yards. And he had a monster game. No TDs, though, but 22 from your tight end is pretty solid.
No, Hooper's doing a great job this year.
Like I've said in previous podcasts, and he was consistent. He actually had more targets this game. 12 targets, 9 receptions, 91 yards. But this guy is always on the waiver wire. And he's
not in our league.
Not anymore. But he consistently puts up, I'd say, a minimum of 10.
Yeah, so I made a trade. I traded Stephon Diggs for a first-round pick and Darius Geis. And I put Geis on the waiver wire. The IR. So I had an extra spot. So I'm like, well, I need another receiver. And our league's pretty deep. We have 12 teams and 16 roster spots on each team. So I picked up Sanu because I'm just a believer in the guy as being a good, solid spot start every week.
So yeah, Sanu's a great bye week fill-in. Actually, he's a good wide receiver 3, I think, personally.
But he's not going to do this every week. We don't
No,
want to mislead
but
people
like I've said
either.
before, his targets are consistent, 6 to 7. And I always think that he always, like I said, puts up a minimum of 10 points, I think.
This is another one of those weird quarterback situations this week, too, where Matt Ryan threw for basically 400 yards, but no touchdowns. Atlanta just could not have, they did not have a nose for the end zone outside of Ito Smith. And that's one of those that helps no one type of touchdown. Are you worried about Calvin Ridley a couple weeks now with disappointing outputs, John? And by the way, before we jump into that, Julio didn't have a great game either. He was under 10 points in PPR.
I think people think they see Tennessee and they think bad. Tennessee,
they're not.
They're not bad. Their defense is actually really good. I'll keep saying it. So I think...
Yeah, I don't want to start Allen against those guys next week if he's playing. I think it's Allen that plays them.
I just think Ridley and Jones had bad games here.
Josh Allen.
Ridley and Jones had bad games here because they faced a good secondary.
And Jones is going to have, and we've seen enough Julio Jones over the years, John, to know he's going to have those games where they game plan him out.
Yep.
The opposing defense, and Atlanta's like, okay, we'll use our other guys. They don't.
And that's
force
what they
it
did here. Yeah, they didn't force it like they've tried to do in the past, and it paid off here. Well, stat line wise, not score wise, but
yeah,
I'm not worried about Ridley. I think he'll bounce back just like Jones will bounce back.
Yeah. Any waiver wire options here for you?
Yeah. If anybody, I'd be considering to be Ito Smith if you're a Devontae Freeman owner.
Yeah, I think a handcuff would be in order there. And you guys probably think I want to handcuff everybody, and you're probably not wrong in a lot of cases, but you just never know when you're going to lose your running back, and it's always good to have a backup plan in place. So, John, what's the next game? I'm having some technical difficulties.
Panthers-Texans, we'll get into that game. So, Panthers won this game 16-10 over the Texans. We'll go into the Panthers side first. Kyle Allen had a meh game.
Nah.
24.
It looked like more than mad. It looked straight up bad.
No, he didn't throw any interceptions, and he faced, a solid D, the Houston Texans. He was 24 of 34, 70% completion percentage for 232. But the focal point of this offense with Cam Newton out is Christian McCaffrey. It clearly showed. He had 27 carries for 93 yards and a TD, but also targeted 10 times for 10 receptions for 86 yards. So McCaffrey... Volume. The guy...
Yeah, we faced him, but we saw their Christian McCaffrey and we raised them a Chris Godwin. So it worked out for us. But, yeah, if you're going against McCaffrey this week, that was painful.
Yeah, so then you start looking at other... the other targets here for Kyle Allen. He threw to Darius Wright, had the second most targeted with 6 targets. Sorry, Curtis Samuel... for 7, but he was limited to 3 receptions for 32 yards.
Yeah.
And then Darius Wright, 5 receptions for 59 yards. And DJ Moore, only 5 targets, 3 receptions for 44 yards. So
Greg Olsen had 4 targets, but only 2 catches for 5 yards.
So I think you remember that's a good linebacking core there. So I can see why they kind of limited Olsen here.
Yeah, they get a good front 7.
Samuels, like I said before, he has a good relationship with Allen. It showed here. He had 7 targets. The numbers weren't good, but this is a solid D they're playing against. And then... I think they'll have a...
But outside of Christian McCaffrey, not much to say.
Not much to say here. Houston side, very disappointing day with Deshaun Watson. 21 of 33, 160 yards, 0 TDs, 0 interceptions. But running-wise, 3 carries for 12 yards and 1 TD. Still probably didn't dominate your league this week with Watson. Kind of a disappointing game, but you can't sit there and bash the Carolina Panthers defense. They're not like top of the line, but they're not bottom of the pack either. So they have games like this where they will, they shut Deshaun Watson out basically, and they shut Hopkins out. Hopkins had 8 targets, 5 receptions for 41 yards, no TDs, and then Fuller had 6 targets, 3 receptions, 23 yards. That's most of your offense right there. Those are your top 2 receivers. After that, you start looking at stats and stuff. The only big stat that stands out is finally Duke Johnson is getting involved more. He had 6 carries for 56 yards, no TDs, but be careful of the stat line because one of those runs was for 40 yards.
Yeah.
So you gotta look at that.
6 carries is not a lot in today's NFL or any day's NFL.
Yeah, he had 3 receptions, 3 targets out of the backfield for 2 catches for 22 yards, and then Carlos Hyde is still being involved, but he had 5 targets though.
Yeah.
So his yardage was bad, but 4 receptions for 6 yards. and 12 carries for 58 yards. I don't trust either running back here still.
Well, and I think this was a game where, the big names were getting shut down, and I think Houston was just using every weapon they could to try to catch up.
We do forget they have Luke Kuechly. The guy's everywhere.
Kuechly's amazing. But in turn, back to Houston, I think Deshaun Watson might be somebody we talk about tomorrow as well. And the problem here is that offensive line is just
6 sacks.
Embarrassing. I don't think Bill O'Brien's cut out to be a head coach in the NFL. I just don't think he's got the right stuff. And they had an opportunity, John, to work on that offensive line this past offseason. They knew it was a problem last year, and they really didn't. And it's really Deshaun Watson suffering because of it. And like Will Fuller is another guy I look at. I had high hopes for Will Fuller this year. Didn't really get him in a lot of leagues because he went a lot earlier than I was hoping, to get him. And 3 for 23. Like, the explosive plays aren't there from Fuller. Is that an injury? Like, is he still kind of dealing with that, or
no? I just think here
do you think it's the offense?
It's the offensive line problems here, and the running game's not helping either. They're not establishing Usually, in order to pass well, you need to establish a good run. Well, that's not even happening here because the running backs aren't standing out here. And then when you have an offensive line that's giving up 5-6 sacks a game, Watson doesn't have time to plant his foot and make these good throws.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't make his good throws certain weeks, but when you face a better defense like the Panthers, or if they do face better Ds, I'd be skeptical of starting him now because it gets scary because that's how bad their line is.
Watson.
Yeah, Watson.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're starting DeAndre Hopkins, sorry. But has had as many bad games as he has good ones this year.
And he's worrying me.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, but they're facing Atlanta this coming week, John. I think it's a get-right situation for them. So I think you can fire everything, as far as Houston's concerned, or at the very least DeAndre and Deshaun, and you should see those guys come back to form. But definitely some concerns here, But they've got a schedule that isn't that difficult. They've got Atlanta, then KC, then Indy, then Oakland, John, and then Jacksonville. But I think the next few weeks you should really see DeAndre and Deshaun feast. And if you don't, then I would start to get concerned. But we'll talk more about that tomorrow.
What's the next game on tap?
Let's see what I got here. My little bag of tricks, John. The internet is slow today. I apologize. So next game on tap is going to be the Patriots and the Bills. Not much to see here from a fantasy standpoint. I personally sat Josh Allen for Daniel Jones this week, and it wasn't because of the hype. It was just I didn't think Josh Allen was going to have a good game against New England, and he didn't. Had he stayed in there, maybe he would have, thrown a TD, but he did rush for one. But he was 13 for 28, 153 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's a Dwayne Haskins stat line there. So not great. And Matt Barkley didn't look that much better in reserves. So
I think the only shining
Frank Gore, dude, is he a legit
15,000 rushing yards?
15,000 rushing yards. He had 17 carries for 109 yards. I mean, Frank Gore is as good of a fill-in as you can get out there, John. We were kind of poo-pooing him last week, but the guy's steady. He's going to get you a steady 10 points. Yeah, he's Frank the Tank. He's going to get you 10 points every week, at least until Singletary comes back. So, I mean, you could have a worse bye-week flex or running back fill-in than Frank Gore. Cole Beasley showed up for work, 7 for 75. John Brown had a good game, 5 for 69. This was encouraging, John, because when I look at John Brown, this was a game that I thought Gilmore was going to take him out of the equation. And while he didn't have a huge game, he did give you 11 points in PPR.
Better than I thought he would be.
Yeah, so I think I'm starting to wonder if that's right around the baseline for him, and his upside's a lot higher than that. So John Brown is sneakily becoming a really good receiver to have this season. The tight ends kind of came back to earth. Dawson Knox 3 for 58.
Not bad for a bye week.
Not terrible.
Pick him up from waiver wire.
He got as much for you. He got more for you than I got out of OJ Howard filling in for George Kittle. I still won, but yeah. So it's John Brown for me on this team. Josh Allen in the right matchup and Frank Gore are really the only three guys that I'm comfortable starting on a weekly basis. And even Allen isn't a weekly basis guy for me.
He's a streamer.
TJ Yeldon, 4 receptions for 68 yards. John, is he worth a waiver wire ad in deeper leagues?
If Singletary's out, yes.
Yeah, but when Singletary comes back, cut the cord.
Patriots side of the ball, we'll talk Patriots.
Sure.
Brady did not look good. Gave up an interception, only threw for 150 yards. But, like we've said before, I'm a Pats fan saying this too, guys. Buffalo's D's legit. And they held Brady to 150 yards.
Buffalo?
But,
yeah.
Yeah, they're legit.
They're legit.
And that's the thing. Everybody's going, I'm going to beat them by like 30. I'm a Pats fan. I was worried about this game.
I even said that just because that's how it always seems to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But no, I mean, we got to start respecting this Bills defense. Tre'Davious White did a good job. The secondary did a good job. I mean, they limited Brady to 150 yards. I will say this, though. When your leading receiver is James White with 10 targets, 8 receptions, 57 yards, it concerns me because look what Tre'Davious White did to Gordon.
I was going to say,
3 receptions for 46 yards. Edelman, you can tell, they said he was good to play, but he is still bothered by it.
Yeah, he probably shouldn't have been out
Nope.
there.
He had 7 targets, 4 receptions for 30 yards, and it reflected. In Dorsett, you might have had 9 targets, but you only had 2 receptions for 10 yards, which is awful for those targets.
He did get a carry.
Good old Rex Burkhead.
Yeah.
Gave me the old Rex.
I don't know what you were thinking there, man.
So I saw the
The worst thing to do is ever see a big week from a New England running back and then start them the next week. That should be a built-in rule.
You want to know what I saw? I saw 3 consistent weeks of 10 points. That's all I saw. I saw consistency, and
when have you ever seen 4 weeks of 10 points or more from any New England running back?
And this is why, as a Patriots, a Patriots fan, this is why I don't start Patriots. And I think it was like
it has nothing to do with being a fan. It's being an intelligent fantasy football competitor. It's just it's an unwritten rule. I love Sony Michel, and we have him in our tag team league, but we know that he's not going to go 3, 4, 5 games with double-digit points. It's just not going to happen consecutively.
So, I mean, from a fantasy standpoint, not much to talk about on the Patriots. Michel was 17 of 10 for 63 yards, no touchdowns.
Michel was not good.
No receptions. He is starting to worry me. So that's all. I don't see.
He got 17 carries, which is okay. But it's not 20, 25. It's, not what I would have expected to see from him.
You see any waiver wire pickups here? I see one.
No.
I see one.
So let me just say this, and I want to go back to Brady real quick. I think people forget that Brady is 42 years old, and I don't care how many avocado ice creams or steroids you take. If you're 42 years old, or avocado ice cream, steroid injections, or whatever it is that keeps you going at 42 years old. And God bless him,
He's still playing great for his age.
He's not matchup proof anymore, guys. No. And I had, Noah, God bless the kid, but Noah looks through everything with Patriot glasses. He's not objective. So I actually put something up on our Facebook page. Would you rather have Daniel Jones or Tom Brady rest of season? And Noah's like, Jay, you had one bad week, and you say that he's losing his mind. And I'm like, dude, do your homework. Tom Brady was a 14th ranked quarterback in fantasy last year. He's, so that's a legitimate question.
I mean, at 42, 14th is still good. That's what I'm not saying.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, no.
I didn't say that. So take the Patriot glasses off.
No.
What I am saying is he's not matchup proof anymore. And Buffalo is the type of team that punches him in the mouth, and he turtles up a little bit. And their running game wasn't really great enough to carry the load today. They won, and I think they won because they took Josh Allen out.
I would still rather start Daniel Jones based on the fact that you're taking an offense without Saquon Barkley.
Yeah. And I asked that question for the record. I don't know the answer.
No.
Yeah. I really don't.
To me, I would say...
I think I would lean Brady because of the offensive system there, but then I think about the upside of Daniel Jones, and I asked the question because it's a legitimate question.
Here's my answer to that. I would start Daniel Jones based on the fact that this offense is rebuilding. This team is not always going to win. I mean, they've already gotten 2 wins, which is very surprising for Daniel Jones, but the reason why I would start him, they're going to throw the ball more often than not, and if they get behind, they're going to throw even more. Yeah. So you have more chance, even if it's garbage time, they're going to throw. Yeah. Brady now...
Well, that's the thing. Brady will get game planned out by New England more than the defense.
Yes.
The opposing defense.
Yes, I'm not saying Brady's never going to throw, but if I had
Yeah.
to pick between the two, I still want Daniel Jones because he's going to throw the ball more often than not. Brady's can be scripted. If they're 21-0, they're going to run the ball and run the clock. Daniel Jones more often than not will be behind, so he will get more. Even I don't care. Like I said, if it's garbage points, I would go Daniel Jones rest of the year over Tom Brady.
But I mean, I'll say this: Brady in certain situations. I mean, you look at that schedule. It is
there's
not only the easiest schedule in the league, but it might be the easiest schedule of all time.
Yeah, this would be a week if you want to start Tom Brady. He plays the Redskins.
You need to. Yeah.
Yes.
He's going to carve them up. So I want to make sure all the Patriot fans are losing their minds right now because Tom Brady pays their light bill and he takes care of them so much. It's not a knock on Brady. What it is that they will game plan if they are in a game like this with a team like Buffalo that they know is low scoring. They're just going to run the ball. And Brady probably could have had a better game, but they ran the rock with 5 different guys. I will say, to kind of piggyback on this, if they're going to do that, they need to get more than 3.7 yards per carry out of Sony Michel. That dude needs to wake up and smell the coffee, as the old saying goes.
I think the James Devlin injuries hindered him more than we thought.
Well, the James Devlin injury, at least he won't vulture any touchdowns.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew that was coming.
But, so, with that being said, I don't listen to much Boston sports, John, because it's just, I can't handle it. But I listen to like a little tiny bit because I turned the car on and then I switched it to my podcast that I listen to. But the little snippet that I heard, they were just bashing the game plan. They were bashing the Patriots. And it's like, come on, guys. They'll be fine.
They'll be fine.
And Brady's gonna have a lot of good games. It just wasn't today.
Wasn't this week.
All right.
So what's the next game?
Sorry. You tell me.
How about we
you
do
got it right in front of you.
Let's do the Chiefs at the Lions.
All right.
So this game.
Oh, that's perfect. That was next on the list.
This game. I saw bits and pieces of it, but this game was back and forth, and not a game you would expect to be like this. But both teams, believe it or not, were undefeated. Yeah, the Lions had a tie.
And Detroit managed to lose like they always do.
And they lost in Detroit too. They lost at home, but Chiefs won 34-30 over the Lions. But Matt Stafford continuing to improve. He was 21-34 for 291 yards and 3 TDs.
It's a great game.
And
great game.
Carry on, my wayward son.
Carry on, Johnson.
He finally came to earth
again.
But look at the volume go up again. 26 attempts for 125 rushing yards.
And not only that, John, but we talked about those other guys. Carry on's another one of those guys.
Yep.
If you want 100+ yards out of your running back, you need to give them the usage.
Yep.
Because a lot of those yards, if you guys look week to week, guys that have big games, a lot of it comes on 1 or 2 runs. You know what I mean? And so they need to get going, and eventually they'll break through.
Here, his longest run was 14. It was just consistency was getting.
Right, yeah. He just got the workload.
I mean, it was the workload, and with them...
he did have 2 catches for 32 yards, which is, that's 15 yards a catch. That's really good for a running back.
They've released...
16 yards.
Releasing C.J. Anderson, actually, they're firm believers in Carry On Johnson.
They're all in. Marvin Jones had a solid game again today. He's becoming pretty consistent, 3 for 77. Kenny Golladay had a great game, 5 for 67. 2 touchdowns. Yeah, you were singing.
Oh, I was singing up and down when I saw him score. Especially the second time.
So this team looked great. They just lost the game, but that's what they do. Their coach is bad, so a bad coach is going to lose games for you. I.e., the Cowboys last night. Another example of that. But from a fantasy standpoint, they look great. Kansas City looked great. Patrick Mahomes threw for 315 yards, but no touchdowns, John.
Yeah, so this is what makes me laugh a little bit, because everybody, you start reading Twitter and stuff, and they're like, Mahomes didn't have a Mahomes game. I'm sorry, but Mahomes still threw for 315 yards. Yeah, it was a little disappointing. No TDs, but do we forget that he had 6 attempts for 54 yards as well?
Yeah, no, that tax
So,
on.
like we said, a floor game is 300 yards. I expected at least 1 TD, but still, he still had a decent game.
Oh, yeah.
Surprisingly, it was LaShawn McCoy, 11 carries for 56 yards and a TD. He also had 4 targets, 2 receptions for 33 yards. So not too bad of a game as a McCoy. But Darrell Williams,
fine.
Vulture, 2 touchdowns.
I know,
8 carries for 13 yards, but 2 TDs. And he also had 3 receptions for 43 yards. I started him in Dynasty, as a bye week fill-in, and he got me, I think, 18.7. So I'll take it. I'll take it in a heartbeat.
That's pretty good. Kelsey was Kelsey, 7 for 85. Not a ton of touchdowns this year. He only had one week 2 against Oakland. So I think you'll see that change very soon. Demarcus Robinson, I started him in Dynasty over Chris Godwin. Yes, publicly shamed me. But I was worried that Godwin was, with a hip injury, you really get concerned about that.
No, you were worried about the limited, like a lot of people were.
But he and Demarcus Robinson, Mecole Hardman disappointed. And like we said last week, you're not going to get every receiver every week out of this team to give you double-digit points. It's just not going to happen. And of course, Sammy Watkins 3 for 54. So it was really Travis Kelce's day. And while they scored 34 points, not the best day for Kansas City's offense that we've ever seen. And the Lions' D is no joke. But without Darius Slay, I thought they were going to carve these guys up. I thought they were going to
carve them up. But they kind of did it in a way. 34 points, but it was mostly on the ground, though.
Yeah. It just wasn't what you're used to seeing from Kansas City, but they'll be fine. I wouldn't worry too much about that at all. Any waiver wire options coming out of this game, John?
To be honest with you, no.
Yeah, nothing that we haven't already
stands
discussed.
out. Marvin Jones Jr. if he's available, but he should not be.
I don't think he is. Yeah, Marvin Jones is another guy that to go after if you're looking for depth on your team.
And the only one to consider is Darrell Williams if Damian Williams misses another week, because he's proven that even with LaShawn McCoy here, he's still going to get some usage. At least goal line usage.
What about the Raiders?
The Raiders.
Raiders at Indy. Raiders took this one. It was a pretty good game. Josh Jacobs looked good. He looked good. He was 17 for 79 and 4.6 yards per carry. He caught 2 passes for 29 yards. Still not seeing quite the usage that you would like to see.
His attempts are up, but I know what you're saying.
Only 2 targets in the passing game.
Yeah.
Really like to see him around 20 attempts. But I liked he looked good. And what I saw of the game, John, he was moving pretty good out there. So I think he's over the injury woes that he was dealing with. Who else stands out to you? Darren Waller, John?
Tyrell Williams. Waller's just being a baller, like we said. Waller had 7 receptions for 53 yards, and Tyrell Williams is still the number 1 there. He had 7 targets, 3 receptions for 36 yards, but that TD helped save his day.
Yeah, but so Tyrell Williams, let me ask you something. If you have Tyrell Williams, what are you doing with him? Are you selling him, or are you holding on to him?
I'm holding on to him.
Okay. What do you think their schedule looks like coming up?
It's probably hard.
It's not easy. So they have on deck Chicago.
Okay, when it's starting this week.
in London. So that could be weird. Then Green Bay, Houston, Detroit, Chargers. So it's not the easiest schedule on the planet. Being a Josh Jacobs owner, I'm not loving it.
But there is good news about that, though, too. These are teams that are potentially good defenses. They could be playing behind more, which means could be decent games out of these guys, too. Not Jacobs so much, more the receivers.
Yeah, if you look at Jacobs, like Green Bay is not really great against the run. Detroit's not really great against the run. So there's some opportunity for him there. But then against Chicago, they're like the 3rd best against the run.
Yeah, like Chicago wouldn't be playing them this week.
And some of us might not have a choice, John.
No,
we'll see how it goes, though. But good to see more work out of him. Tyrell Williams, like you said, scored a touchdown, but 3 for 36. Outside of that, makes me a little nervous. 7 targets doesn't make you nervous. I will say that. And then Darren Waller is, again, the most targeted guy on the team.
I think this is Waller's worst game yet. It's 12 points.
Yeah, and it's 12 PPR points. Yeah.
So, let me ask you this. Are you sold on Jacoby Brissett?
No, I'm not, dude. Because, again, it's... You know what he is? Early in the morning, you hear the truck coming up the road, and you're like, what the heck is that? You're all groggy. You look out the blinds, and it's the garbage man. That's what Jacoby Brissett is. He's the garbage man, because he gets all of his points in garbage time.
Oh, good point.
And you're going to have meltdown games from this guy, I guarantee it. But this wasn't one of them.
Nope.
And it was as good of a matchup John as was going to get, but it was all garbage time, dude. So... If you started him, you made out, and you don't care that it was garbage time, because that's a part of fantasy football as well. I'm asking you, are you concerned about Marlon Mack?
Yes.
I agree.
Because
he doesn't catch passes.
He's not targeted out of the backfield. It's Nyheim Hines.
That last drive was all Nyheim Hines.
Yep. On top of that, you also have Mack. yes, he did play this week, but was he limited on his snaps because of his injury? I know they said he
And
wasn't.
he's always hurt.
Yep. And he's hurt again this week. Shocker.
Yep.
So I'm a little concerned here. I mean, if you're looking to stream somebody this week, I would look at Naheem Hines. Not Wilkins, Naheem Hines, based on the fact that it's the targets. If they get behind, they're going to throw to Hines. Wilkins had 1 target. Hines had 6. And he had 6 receptions for 39 yards.
Yeah.
So that's who I'd be targeting. And then who?
I know what's coming. I know what's coming.
What?
Oh, I got a feeling I know where you're going.
So
go there. We'll see. We'll see if I'm right.
So we streamed the tight end this week.
I knew it.
In our tag league. And I talked about how good the matchup was against the Raiders with tight ends. And I said Jack Doyle.
Yeah.
Jack Doyle had 8 targets, 4 receptions for 22 yards and a TD. And why did we also target Doyle? You brought up a good point.
Because T.Y. Hilton was out.
Yep.
So I think if you look at who catches touchdowns in that team, it's Ebron, Doyle, and T.Y. So I thought it was a good chance that I thought it was a good chance that Doyle would catch a touchdown, or maybe it would be Ebron, but ended up both catching touchdowns.
And this game worked out for both of us. Ebron had 5 targets, 1 reception, 48 yards, a TD. And then Pascal was probably the best receiver on this team, or Paris Campbell, but Pascal had 4 receptions, 72 yards, but Paris Campbell seeing the targets, but not seeing the production. He had 5 receptions for 25 yards. Other than that, it's not really much to talk about in this game.
I will say, though, back to Wilkins, these guys face Kansas City, who's the 9th worst against the run. So that does create an opportunity for maybe Wilkins and or Naheem Hines. So
just keep your eye on the.
If you need to stream, those could be streamers for you.
Just watch the Marlon Mack news, because this guy, they'll say he's not practicing, and then he literally, I think it was the day before the last practice, he had limited practice and he ended up playing.
Yeah. Paris Campbell did get 8 targets, John. 5 for 25, though. Not much there. Chester Rogers got 6 targets, made 3 for 48 with a touchdown. So neither of those guys are anybody I'm going to go after on the wire. As much as I like the skills of Paris Campbell, he's not a big enough part of that offense right now. And I thought that he could have had a big game this week with T.Y. Hilton out. Just didn't happen, unfortunately. Chargers, Dolphins, John. Let's move on to them. Phillip Rivers had a good day. Very good day. 310 yards, 2 touchdowns. We would hope so, given that he played against the worst team in the history of all of sports, the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, but this is 2 weeks in a row. I've seen the Dolphins, play decent till the half and then just crumble.
Well, it's because they're not that good,
No, I get that, but 2 weeks in a row now, I see on my phone, I'm like.
But as each game goes by, John, I think they'll play okay till the half, and then the next game it'll be halfway through the second quarter, and then after that it'll be we'll play good the first quarter, and then by the end of the season they will have completely given up. This team's just going to get worse and worse as time goes by.
So let's go quickly here on the Miami side.
Not much to see, honestly. Kenyon Drake was okay in terms of efficiency.
You don't like the Drake?
I love the Drake as a buy low. Maybe
he actually looked decent this weekend. 9 points.
He looked fine. Yeah,
he's a great buy low candidate, but I tread lightly. That's what I'm saying.
He's not going to be a league winner.
Yeah. Preston Williams, still the target share's there.
Yep.
7 targets, 4 receptions, 46 yards.
I liked it. Yeah.
As long as Rosen starts, Preston Williams could be a decent bye week fill-in. Same with Devontae Parker.
I feel like I don't want to say the defense keyed in more on Preston Williams, but this week was a Devontae Parker week. But I really think, like you said, the targets are there for Preston Williams, regardless of who's their quarterback.
It's 4 straight weeks now.
And this is the first week he hasn't gotten double-digit points in PPR, so I like him a lot. I might have to start him this week.
So looking at the rest of Miami, we'll move on. We'll go to the Chargers now. Like you said, Phillip Rivers went off here.
Devontae Parker had 4 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown.
No, I mentioned him.
Okay,
he wasn't bad. On the Chargers side of the ball, Eckler, 18 carries for 60 yards and a TD. Surprising here.
His team might have a decision to make, man. I mean...
he also had 5 targets, 5 receptions, 62 yards and a TD. They kept talking about Melvin Gordon won't play, that Melvin Gordon will be limited. Melvin Gordon, we'll see.
He was there.
Melvin Gordon didn't see anything.
So, and that's smart. And that's smart. The thing. So, this was the perfect storm. This was the perfect storm for Austin Eckler. Miami Dolphins, no Justin Jackson, no Melvin Gordon. So,
And Jackson's expected to miss another week, which I got rid of him in one of my leagues because at this point
with Gordon back, he's not rostered.
So with Mike Williams out, Dontrell Inman had 7 targets, 5 receptions, 76 yards. We did pick him up as insurance on the waiver wire.
He had a better day than Keenan Allen. Which the Keenan Allen thing shocked me. I thought he could have got upwards of 30 points in this game.
But I guess Howard covered him pretty well. He had 6 targets, 5 receptions for 48 yards, and then after that, there's really nobody that sticks out. So we'll move on.
With Williams back, Henry's back soon. I mean, and Gordon back. This could be.
If Williams misses this week, I think you can stream Inman again.
You can, but I'm just like in a few weeks when Henry's back, Williams is back, Keenan Allen's there. This offense could be unstoppable, dude. They've got so much talent. It's not even funny.
Is it time for Dr. Jones?
Yeah. No time for love, John. We got to get over to the Redskins and Giants. The Redskins are just bad. Really nobody worth talking about. Adrian Peterson, I talked trash about him all offseason, and thank you, Adrian Peterson. You are proving me right with another 2.5 yards per carry effort. He's just not a good football player anymore. Chris Thompson is a good football player, and that's a sneaky guy to add if he's on the waiver wire. He's a great dude to have that gives you probably 10 points, but you're almost guaranteed that 10 points.
I don't think there's anybody worth talking about this team because McLovin was
Paul
out.
Richardson, though, I don't know. They're just spreading the ball out now so much with McLovin out, or at least did this week. But Paul Richardson might have been the fill-in, but he didn't have a great game.
This wasn't a great secondary either.
Right now it's McLovin and Chris Thompson is really the only ownable assets on Washington. The Giants have a few, though. Wayne Gallman's probably not on your waiver wire anymore, but
mine.
18 carries. Somebody else got him. 18 carries for 63 yards and a touchdown, 6 catches for 55 yards and a touchdown through the air. Stud game from Gallman. I mean, let's be honest. Dr. Jones could have had a better day, 225 yards and a touchdown, 2 interceptions. So he's got to work on, he didn't have any interceptions the first game, but kind of lost the ball there.
Yeah, but you know what I like to see here?
What's that?
The attempts. So he's starting to get the Konami code here.
He does have the Konami code. He rushed 5 times for 33 yards, which is great. And you can expect that probably on a weekly basis from Jones. And this was a game where they were winning, so they didn't need to go nuts, and they used Gallman a lot. I don't think that's going to be the case every week. I don't think their defense is going to allow them to be in the lead. So I think Daniel Jones could really, really be a steady, maybe a week-to-week option. I don't know. What do you think, John?
I think Jones, like I said, even if the games are getting blown out, I think Jones, unless he could completely implode, which we haven't seen yet. I mean, he's only started 2 games, but even if they play a team, they're going to play from behind. He's still going to throw a lot because their option at running, if we know Gallman's starting, they're going to stack the box and force Jones to throw. So either he's going to come out balling, and I don't mean like throwing for 400 yards, but even in garbage time, he's going to put up, like, let's say, 260, 2 TDs, 1 interception. Let's say 30 yards rushing won't put you up a horrible floor. So,
who's Jonathan Hilliman?
He's their third running back.
Well, he got 10 carries.
So. Yep, he didn't do horrible.
What about the receiving game there, John?
Sterling Shepard, 9 targets, 7 receptions for 76 yards. So I love seeing that, but I'm interested to see what Golden Tate will do once he comes in. But I think what's going to happen here, it's going to be Shepard, Ingram, Tate. That's who's going to. You're not going to see Slayton out there. You're not going to see Benny Fowler. Those guys are going to start to go away. And Gallman was targeted 7 times in the backfield for 6 receptions.
But that's their game. That's how they play their game. They target.
It's funny. They didn't target Saquon that much in the first 2 games.
Well, no, but he does get targeted.
He does.
Ingram didn't have the best game, but still was part of their.
Yeah. So
he got 9 points in PPR. I always look at 10 points. If I get 10 points, I'm not upset. So he was close to that. It wasn't a horrible game. It's not like he was ignored out there. I think it's just game script wise, John. They ran the ball because that's what they needed to do to win. And sometimes we need to remember that teams are going to do what they need to win, and sometimes it doesn't always help us from a fantasy standpoint. Patriots another example of that this week.
Did we do the Browns Ravens yet?
We have not. This was interesting.
This is not what I thought it would be.
No. I think I don't know what happened with Cleveland. I don't know if they got tired of hearing how they're not living up to the hype, but they lived up to it this week. Baker Mayfield, 20 for 30, 342, and a touchdown. Did throw one interception. Only carried the ball 3 times for 1 yard, so we're not really a factor in the rush game. But 350 and a touch for Mayfield. Odell Beckham threw the ball once. That's interesting. Jarvis Landry, 8 for 167. John.
Thank you, Jarvis.
Am I right on that? 167.
Yep.
160. Sorry.
Yeah, 167.
Yeah. This keeps bouncing around on me. Nick Chubb, 20 for 165, which is why I was getting confused.
3 TDs though.
Yes,
But
3 touchdowns.
What did he do that he always does? He broke off an 88-yard.
Yeah.
He does that. He'll break off an 80-yard, and then you look at his stat line, because you take it that, he had 19 carries for 80 yards, which still isn't bad.
And Hilliard still gets usage, man.
Yeah.
6 carries, one of them being a goal line carry. He got a touchdown. Landry had a great game till he got concussed. 8 for 167. Ricky Seals-Jones returned to the NFL box score. 3 catches for 82 yards and a touchdown. Great game for these guys, but not the usual suspects. Odell had a really bad game, 2 for 20, John.
Yep, 7 targets too. So I think I think Baltimore kind of game scripted that one to shut Beckham down, but they got burnt by Landry in the slot.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened here, and with Chubb too, because they're like, oh, if we stop Beckham, then we'll be good. Well, no, Chubb. Ravens are not good against the run like they used to be. They're better in the secondary, and it clearly showed here that they're not good against the run.
Yeah, Marquise Brown was that a 1 or 2 week wonder with him? He 4 for 22. I thought he was primed for a big game, but it didn't really happen.
No, I think
Mark Andrews got 4 for 31 with a touchdown.
Cleveland's defense isn't horrible. They're still young. They're still banged up a little bit, but the inspiring part
Cleveland's
of it,
D was banged up,
Yeah.
dude. I expected a huge game from Marquise
Brown still had 7 targets, though.
He did.
He's still seeing that timeshare.
Yeah.
I think this was just an off game for him. I do love Andrews still getting 8 targets, 4 receptions, 31 yards, and a TD.
You start him every week.
Yep.
Lamar Jackson, 9 for 66. That's what you expect to see from him on the ground. 247 and 3 passing touchdowns.
You worried about Justice Hill?
I'm starting to. He's just not getting the usage, and Mark Ingram starting to turn back into the pumpkin. Although he does have good yards per carry. He just doesn't get a lot of carries.
No, but what did I say? Gus the bus.
Yeah, but I'm still holding him. I have Justice Hill, and I'm still holding on to him.
And Lamar Jackson.
But I'm getting nervous.
Lamar Jackson still had a great game here. Even though they lost this game, he still had a great game. The 2 picks kind of hurt, but 3 TDs. But then he just chipped in another 9 carries for 66 yards.
Oh, he dominated.
So
what's next on the docket, John?
Next game
is Panthers Texans. We already did that.
No, we already did that. Bucks Rams.
Oh.
That game was awesome. That game was awesome.
This was like Halloween came early. It was a slaughterhouse on both sides, man. Like,
there was touchdowns, and more touchdowns in this game.
These defenses were terrible. Jameis Winston has played like a number 1 overall pick, 385 yards, 4 touchdowns, only 1 interception, which is great for Jameis. And then Ronald Jones had a day, 19 carries for 70 yards. So not great from an efficiency standpoint, but he got the touchdown. It was a great touchdown, too. Peyton Barber got a touchdown. Chris Godwin got 2 of them. So we watched Christian McCaffrey rack up the points in the first slate of games, and then we threw Godwin out there to clean it up.
Godwin went insane here. I thought he would be limited. We had no choice but to start him in one of our leagues.
Yeah, this is crazy.
14 targets, 12 receptions, 172 yards, and 2 TDs.
Yeah.
He was a target machine yesterday.
Mike Evans had a good day, but really all on 1 touchdown catch. Other than that, it wasn't great. Yeah.
Cameron Brate, the good old vulture of
I know.
For some reason, they love Brate there. He had 3 catches for 36 yards.
He had the same stat line as the ghost of O.J. Howard, but he got a touchdown and O.J. didn't. Watching the game and I was thinking about it, I'm like, I just don't think Arians. I think Arians dislikes him personally.
It seems like that.
I really do.
It really does.
And he just doesn't want him to be a part of the team. So you might even see O.J. Howard traded. Who knows? If he is, then his value skyrockets on a side note. But
so this is crazy here.
Then the boogeyman stinks.
Yeah, I cut boogeyman in one of my leagues. So
I mean, the boogeyman is like Justice Hill is kind of in the same area as the boogeyman, but I'm gonna hold on to Hill.
Did you guys hear the hype train?
The hype train just crashed for the boogeyman.
So on the Rams side of the ball, This stop hype train.
Cooper Kupp, dude.
No, we'll talk about that. Goff, 45
Robert
completions on
Woods.
68 attempts.
Ugh.
They clearly showed here that we're going to throw the ball.
I said last week, what did I say last week? I'm like, he can't do it anymore. He cannot support, meaning Goff, cannot support those three receivers. Brandon Cook, 6 for 71. Cooper Kupp, 9 for 121 and a touchdown. Robert Woods, 13 for 164. Jared Goff shut me up, albeit against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers D. But the Bucs D gets to the quarterback.
Yeah, but 517 yards passing from Goff.
And how many? 2 touchdowns. So that's, just a great game for Goff. Not a great game for Todd Gurley.
No, Todd Gurley, 5 attempts, 16 yards, 2 TDs.
He kind of saved his day with the 7 catches for 54, but he got 5 carries. And I know they were playing from behind a good portion of the game, but...
They were down, 21-0 at one point, 21-7.
But he didn't look that efficient anyway. 3.2 yards per carry, 7.7 yards per catch. Just not great, man. Not great. I don't know what's going on with Gurley, but, drum roll please, buy low on him. He will improve. Guarantee it. This was the receivers. The receivers were showcased.
Remember the earlier podcast we were talking about Cooks, Kupp, and Woods, who we think would be the one that be the number one, kind of. They're all doing a timeshare, but remember I kept saying Kupp has the best potential? Yeah. And he's clearly showing.
I tried to get Kupp this weekend in a trade. I want to drink from that Kupp right there.
He reminds me of Edelman really 10 years ago.
Kupp is great, dude. Yep. He's bigger than Edelman.
Well, so Kupp, I'm playing against him in one of my leagues. I'm like, they're
you know who he reminds me of? Jordy Nelson.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Yeah. He's got the speed, but he literally went from having nothing to just getting target. Yeah. So I love Kupp. I'm glad he didn't go off anymore because I was like, enough of the beating.
You were going against him. That's right. Yeah.
So as much as I like him, I had to stop cheering for him. So
who saved your day for you? You actually did pretty well right across the board.
Burkhead was my worst.
He was like your only guy.
1.7 points. All the rest were double digits for me. Galladay went off. Andrews had a touchdown. Everybody was pretty consistent in my lineup.
So huge bonanza game there. Bucks and Rams. That was a fun one. Seahawks and Cardinals. Right?
Yep.
David Johnson, 11 carries for 40 yards. But he did have a great day receiving-wise, 8 catches for 99 yards.
Yeah, what saved his game here, you didn't see a lot of attempts by David Johnson because they were down 20-0. So it turned into,
Yeah. But he caught the ball, man. He was like a receiver out there. He had the most passes.
That's what I love.
Most receptions.
Yeah, that's what I love here. He had 11 targets, 8 receptions for 99 yards. Kirk getting hurt, he only had 4 receptions for 37 yards. Fitzgerald, even at his age, still consistent. 5 targets, 5 receptions, 47 yards.
Yeah.
Rest of the offense, not much to talk about.
Nothing to see there, yeah.
Nothing great. Kyler Murray, 4 attempts for 27 yards and a TD.
Yep.
But on the passing side, 22 of 32 for 241 and 1 interception. So not awful. Not bad for a rookie. He's not.
He's doing fine.
Yeah.
He's he's almost like Josh Allen. You'll get 20 to 25 out of him.
But what I'm trying to tell you guys,
except for this past week,
and DJ has said it before too. The thing why we love the Arizona so much, it's the amount of plays, it's the pace of this team.
Yeah,
that's why I like them.
Yeah, they run so many plays.
They literally. Okay, this was their worst game, with 32 attempts from Murray.
Yeah,
and it's still a decent floor from this guy. On the Seahawks side, Russell Wilson, 22 of 28, 240 yards, 1 TD.
So just real quick, I went against a guy in our league that got all hot to trot about Seattle's huge game last week, so he started 3 of them, and it definitely cost him his week. He started Russell Wilson, Tyler Lockett, and DK Metcalf. Don't be a prisoner of the moment, guys.
So on the Seahawks side, Wilson only on running-wise had 2 attempts for 7 yards, so nothing great
He
there.
didn't need to, though.
Chris Carson with Rashad Penny showed that, excuse me, he had 22 carries for 104 yards, 0 TDs, and he's still seeing a few targets out of the backfield.
No, he had 4 catches for 41 yards. Yep. That's great. Not horrible. But I think he was playing for his starting job.
Yeah, he's trying to keep his job.
And he should be because he's not as good as Rashad Penny. On the receiving
side, this guy, if he has gotten picked up in your waiver wire, Disley, 8 targets, 7 receptions for 57 yards and a TD.
Let me just throw this out there. Arizona, the absolute worst team against tight ends. Yeah.
Metcalf came back down to earth, 4 targets, 1 reception, 6 yards. Jerron Brown, 3 targets, 3 receptions for 50 yards, and Lockett, 4 targets, 4 receptions for 51 yards.
And Moore, who I thought had an opportunity to be a sleeper this year, is just not showing on the stat line all that much
He's
at
giving
all.
us less.
Yeah. Speaking of giving us less, Kirk Cousins, he gives us less on a weekly basis because he stinks at his job. He's hashtag not good at football.
I'm wondering if this is going to change with what Thielen said. Does it go to Sherman?
I think they're going to pass more. I think you're going to see that happen. I want to bask in my glory for a second here. This is exactly what I said was going to eventually happen to this stupid, poorly run team. Chicago looked at it and said, these guys can't pass the ball. They're not even trying to pass the ball. So they're not into a rhythm of passing the ball. We're going to shut down Dalvin Cook and we're going to win this game. And that's exactly what they did. They stacked the box, and Minnesota has not gotten to a rhythm in the passing game this year. So they lost. They lost the game because they're a one-dimensional offense. Does that change, John? I'm not so sold that it does.
Neither am I. After seeing the first couple games, I thought it would change too, but it hasn't. And I don't know if it changed, so I don't even know what to go into this game. Cousins was awful. Cook didn't even have a great game. He had 14 of 35 for 1 TD, but he had 8 targets, 6 receptions, 35 yards. The only shining star of this offense was Diggs, 7 receptions for 108 yards, 0 TDs. On the
But first of all, Diggs got all of that in the fourth quarter when the game was out of reach.
Time, yes.
This was not Diggs being game planned to get all of that.
So on the
I have a but. They play the Giants next week. They play Philadelphia the week after.
Which means they may run more. That's what scares me.
They might, but those defenses could get beat up in the air as well. So especially, I mean, both of them have bad secondaries. So I'm just saying, against quarterbacks, they're sweet matchups. So we could see a resurgence here over the next couple of weeks.
I don't know if it's a chance I take, though.
I told you before, the only guy I'm starting on this offense with confidence on a week-to-week basis is Dalvin Cook. And even he didn't, I mean, he got the touchdown, but from an efficiency standpoint, he did not look that great. So, no, I think that both Diggs and Thielen could both have big weeks the next couple of weeks, but I'm certainly not betting on it, that's for sure.
Yeah, on the Chicago side of the ball, Trubisky got hurt, so we're only going into his stats.
But just real quick on Cook this week, too. This is what happens when they stack the box. 2.5 yards a carry on the ground and 5.8 through the air. Those are not good numbers. The touchdown saved his day.
Yep. Chicago side of the ball, Chase didn't end up coming in to relieve Trubisky with his hurt shoulder. 22 of 30, 195 yards, 1 TD. Not great. More game manager, it seems to me. Not someone I'm streaming. Montgomery, seeing the usage, though, keeps going up. 21 attempts for 53 yards. 5 targets, 3 receptions, 14 yards. Yeah, not something. Great buy low candidate, I'd say. Cohen, non-existent other than his touchdown he got.
This is a good defense, too, Minnesota.
Minnesota's a good D. Really, the only shining star of this team was Allen Robinson.
Allen Robinson is a steady guy, man.
7 targets, 7 receptions, 77 yards.
He's proving to be reliable.
Other than that, there's not much to talk about in this
on
game.
a side note, the Anthony Miller
Anthony who?
explosion is not going to be happening this year.
Next game, I think Jaguars-Broncos.
Gunter. My name is Gunter. I won another game.
So
I am the sexiest quarterback.
I did say it to you. Didn't I say Fournette would eventually go off? Remember I said probably be the Broncos because they weren't great against the run.
29 carries. That's what you got to do with Leonard Fournette.
I could actually say I was right on something. I said start Fournette this week.
I started him knowing that Denver is pretty weak against the run. I expected 12 to 15. I did not expect.
Oh, he was texting me. He was like a little kid in the candy shop. He was like, Lenny!
In Leonard Fournette, you watch this game, he refused, and my son was watching it with me, he refused to go down on first contact. So, am I right? Say I'm right.
Yes.
Okay.
Leonard Fournette, 29 attempts for 225 yards. Even if you take that 81-yard run, he still had a great game.
Oh, of course,
yes.
Dude. Still had over 150. Reichel Armstead got some usage, though, 8 for 42.
Yeah. Fournette also had 3 targets, 2 receptions for 20 yards. I would like to see more targets, but
it's still pretty solid.
But consider how much they ran the ball.
Yeah.
But
and they passed it.
Yep.
Armstead got a receiving touchdown.
Gunther Minshew seems to be doing a pretty decent job.
It's not Gunther. There's no H in there. It's Gunter.
Gardner Minshew.
That's not his name now.
Rico. Uncle Rico,
I
19
like
of 33, 213 yards, 2 TDs, one carry for 2 yards.
He was good. He's another one of those guys going to give you 20 to 25 every
But
week.
ever since he has started, I think he's opening up the running game more because they're respecting his passing more and more.
Yeah, I mean...
This is an easy secondary.
Let's not act, though. Let's be careful. Let's not act like Leonard Fournette's been killing it all season.
No. But
he finally showed up.
But
this week.
I think now teams are going to pay attention to him more. But also with Minshew too, he also threw to Westbrook 5 for 66. DJ Chark had 4 receptions for 44 yards. He spread the love here. Everybody saw it.
He did
a decent amount of targets.
But real quick on Reichwell Armstead, I just wanted to touch on him. This is officially a guy that if you have Fournette, you need to pick up Armstead. He got 8 carries for 42 yards in a game that Fournette got 29 carries. So, and then he also caught a touchdown. So that tells me that they are believers in him and they want to get him going as well. So if Fournette goes down for whatever reason, Armstead should get a really heavy workload. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
All right, good. What about Denver?
Denver Broncos, Joe Flacco is still showing he's got a little bit left in the tank, which I'm surprised.
He had a great game.
22 of 38, 303 yards passing, 3 TDs, 1 interception. Phillip Lindsay, 9 carries for 53 yards, and Royce Freeman, 6 carries for 16 yards. It looked great there. It looks like a split timeshare.
Lindsay.
And then this week they flopped roles in the receiving role.
They did.
Lindsey had 1 target, 1 reception, 7 yards. Like we said, he's not a PPR back. We've said this. I mean, he started off that way, but Royce Freeman,
He's not.
6 targets, 4 receptions, 34 yards.
So this is the running back version of Thielen Diggs, basically?
Yes.
Okay.
So we don't know who to trust. It changes. But
Noah Fant showed up.
Yep.
That's good.
Yep, he had 4 targets, 2
did have a
receptions,
touchdown.
31 yards, and it's a TD.
Yes.
Manuel Sanders seems to be the number 1 here, I would say still.
Sutton, man.
No, I'm
I
not
like
saying-
what I'm seeing out of Sutton.
But Sanders has the consistency. He had 5 receptions for 104 yards.
But they both got targeted 9
Yep.
times.
Sutton has the red zone threat, I think, more than Sanders.
Sutton had a great game.
He had 9 targets, 6 receptions, 62 yards, and 2 TDs.
Yeah.
So other
I
than-
was nervous about Sutton this year because he never seemed to figure it out last year. Even when it was just him and Deshaun. Deshaun looked better.
Yep.
But this year it's clicking. And next year, guys,
Yep, the third year.
he's going to be a
Myth
monster.
of the third-year
I think.
receiver.
Yeah.
So the very last game to go over, the Dallas Cowboys lost to the New Orleans Saints,
Yeah,
12-10. This was an all-defense
It wasn't a
game.
good fantasy football game. It was a good defensive football
And
game.
I'm not trying to be mean here, but everybody this year is like, oh, this game's going to be so high scoring. Why would you think that?
It wasn't last
If
year.
anybody watched the game last year,
Yeah, it was like
a
16 to
defensive
10 or
battle.
something like that,
I did
yeah.
not expect this score to be higher than like 2017 tops, and it clearly showed here. But I actually expected Dallas to obliterate Bridgewater here.
I think Bridgewater's better than people give him credit for, but they kind of did, John. 193 yards and an interception is a really bad game.
Yeah.
And he faced a really good defense. We got to get Noah some. We got to get him some books or something, or tell him where the internet is, because he's trying to say that Dallas has a bad defense, and
No,
obviously,
they're not a bad defense.
obviously that's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. Or they're not the same D that they were last year. I would argue they might be better this year.
Come on.
So, if you look at it, Kamara 17 for 69, not a big game for him on the ground, and 3 catches for 20 yards. So they shut Kamara down. Michael Thomas did have a good day, but not a huge day, so they kept him in check. And then frankly, New Orleans did the same thing on the other side of the ball. Jason Witten 4 for 50, but had a great catch and fumbled it.
They shut down.
And then
Cooper.
after that, John, Blake Jarwin started getting thrown too. So that was interesting to see. Jason Witten kind of got phased out after he fumbled that ball. Amari Cooper 5 for 48. Zeke 6 catches for 30 yards, which was good. That and the rushing touchdown saved his day because he had two yards per carry, which is probably the worst I've ever seen Zeke. Watching this game, he just never got it going, John. So what that means to me is if you have a running back going up against this New Orleans defense, they are officially good against the run. They were ranked well against the run, but then I'm like, well, they haven't played Zeke Elliott yet. Let's see what happens there. And they took Zeke right out of his element, right out of his game. So be careful when you're starting running backs against New Orleans. Is my big takeaway from this one. But yeah, no, nothing really to see here from a offensive standpoint. Both defenses did a great job.
Yeah, the very defensive battle, kind of like the Rams and Patriots last year. And same with these guys playing last year. It was just all defense, and you got to keep previous matchups. And but I mean, I'm not saying we're not wrong about previous matchups because look at Baltimore and Cleveland.
Yeah,
totally wrong on that one this week.
The good news about Zeke is his baseline's about 15 points. This is the worst game I think I've ever seen him have.
Yeah, but he still had what? 18?
And he still got 15.
Yeah.
Well, he got 16.5 or something like that. So tonight, John, I mean, obviously we will have the game will have aired before our podcast airs. But tonight it's Cincinnati and Juju. Of course, we're recording this on Monday night, and we put it out on either late Monday night or early Tuesday morning. What are your thoughts on this game? What do you expect from the big hitters? Joe Mixon, Juju Smith-Schuster.
I think this game is not going to be high scoring.
Tyler Boyd,
as bad as
John Ross,
both defenses
James
are.
Conner.
I'm calling the upset here. I think Cincinnati will win 21-17 over Pittsburgh.
Well, my son's a Bengals fan, so while that's great, I just want to temper his expectations. I think they got a good chance of winning this one, though. Obviously, if Big Ben was out there, I would think differently, but I think this could be, John, a higher scoring game than a lot of people are anticipating. These are both bad defenses.
Yep, but
Minkah Fitzpatrick helps Pittsburgh a little bit, but not to the degree where it makes them a good defense by any means. So I think Cincinnati, I think John Ross should have a good game. I bet you Tyler Boyd has a huge game in this one. And I think Mixon could have a huge game as well. And on the Pittsburgh side of the ball, I think Juju will get you 10 to 15, I think. And then Connor, I think we see a resurgence from him a little bit. I expect 15 to 20 from Connor. So we'll see if we're right and if that shakes out. By the time this episode goes out there, you guys will know. So you say Cincinnati's winning.
Yep.
I think Cincinnati will win, but we'll see how it shakes out.
We're probably both going to be wrong, I bet you, but wait and see.
If we are, I guess it jinxed Andrew. So we got a little bit of time, so I just want to take a moment to mention our GoFundMe page at www.gofundme.com/armchair-fantasy-football-podcast. If you guys could support us by making a donation and sharing it with your network, we would greatly appreciate it. We know that money can be tight, so if you like what we're doing, please know that even $5 helps us get closer to our goal. The cost of your morning Starbucks, basically. Let us know if you have any questions. We'll be happy to answer them. Help the Working Class Podcast continue to provide great content and keep the blue-collar baller dream alive, most importantly. We sincerely appreciate your contributions, even if you can just share the GoFundMe page posts. And other than that, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll see how Monday Night Football shakes out. And we're going to talk about if we're having panic attacks, John. Should we breathe into the bag tomorrow? All right, but until then, have a good night, day, whatever. I guess it would be have a good day, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
See you guys tomorrow.
Peace.